All right, now let's look at lesson 3.3, proving lines parallel. This lesson closely follows along with lesson 3.2. So in this lesson, we're going to use the converse of the postulates and theorems to prove that lines are parallel. So if you remember back in chapter 2, we talked about our conditional statements, then we had our converse. Well, the conditional statement was where we went from P to Q, our hypothesis and then our conclusion. Well, now in a converse, we're going to take and we're going to flip-flop our conclusion and our hypothesis. So instead of going P to Q, we're now going to go from Q to P. And that is called the converse. So if two lines in a transversal form corresponding angles that are congruent, then the two lines are parallel. So if you're given a diagram and it gives us that corresponding angles are congruent, then that tells us that the lines that intersect, that are created by our two angles, are going to be parallel lines. So you'd say line L is parallel to line M. So if angle 2 is congruent to angle 6, then line L is parallel to line M. So before, in our last lesson, we said if two lines are parallel, then their corresponding angles are congruent. So this is saying if we have corresponding angles that are congruent, then our lines are parallel. So we just reversed it. And let's look at the next one, converse of the alternate interior angles theorem. The converse, and once again, remember, anytime you hear the word converse, we have swapped our conditional statement around. So if two lines in a transversal form alternate interior angles that are congruent, then the two lines are parallel. So if we have angle 4 and 6 here congruent, then that means that line L is parallel to line M. If two lines in a transversal form same side interior angles that are supplementary, then the two lines are parallel. Notice this is the only one that is a postulate. Anything that adds up to equal 180 is going to be a postulate here. So which means it's going to be same side interior. So if you look here, if we have angle 3 and 6 that add up to equal 180, then we know that line L is parallel to line M. So if same side interior angles are supplementary, then you know your lines are parallel. And the converse of the alternate exterior angle theorem. So if we have alternate exterior angles that are congruent, then our lines L and M are going to be parallel. All right, so let's take a look here. Which lines are parallel if angle 1 is congruent to angle 2? So this is what a lot of your questions are going to be asked like. So you got to determine which lines are parallel. Well, if you have angle 1, which is right here, you have angle 2, which is right here. Okay, this touches line A and line M. This touches line B and line M, so line M is in common in both, so that's our transversal. So if we cover up line L, that means it leaves us with lines A being parallel to line B. So what reason can we justify this? Well, we would say it's by the converse of one of our reasons. So it's the converse of, now what kind of angles were 1 and 2? We said they were corresponding, so it's converse of the corresponding angles theorem. Alright, so you guys figure out the next one. Pause the video, come back and check your answer when you're done. Alright, so once again you should see that it is going to be the converse of the corresponding angles theorem, because we're looking at now angles 6 and 7. These are corresponding angles. This one touches line L and line B. This one touches line M and line B, so therefore B is our transversal. These are our parallel lines. And 6 and 7 are corresponding angles, so we'd say that it's by the converse of the corresponding angles theorem. So now, what is the value of x for which a is parallel to b? So if you look at this, and all we have to do is find x here. If you look here, I've got these two angle measures. These two are going to add up to be 180 because they are a same-side interior angle. So I'm going to take 2x plus 9 plus 111 equals 180. So we add these two together, combine like terms, it gives us plus 120 equals 180, subtract 120. 2x is equal to 60. Divide by 2, and x is equal to 30. You can always double check by putting it back in. And if these two angles are supplementary, this would have to be 69 degrees, and you get 2 times 30 is 60, plus 9 is 69. So these two add up to equal 180. All right. Last example, I want you guys to find the value of w. So pause the video and come back and check your work when you're done. All right, hopefully you were able to see that these two were corresponding angles, and corresponding angles are congruent in parallel lines. So that means to find w, we're going to have to set these two angles equal to each other, because it has to be a true statement. So these are equal to each other, so 55 is equal to 3w minus 2. Add 2 to get 57, divide it by 3 and get 19. So the answer to w is going to be 19 degrees. And that concludes lesson 3.